All right, Nick and Andy, huge game at Old Trafford this weekend. Manchester United against Arsenal in the Premier League. Always big when these two teams meet. Always think of Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger going at it on the sidelines. One of the great Premier League rivalries in history. Bit different now, though, Nick. Obviously, United really struggling. Obviously, Europa League is their main focus for the rest of this season. But for Arsenal, I guess it's all about just doing their job and hoping Liverpool slip up in the title race. But is it actually much of the title race right now? Because it doesn't feel like it after the last week or two.
Is Bukayo Saka going to come back and have a right away? Like now, is he going to immediately kick into gear? Is about the only hope, because they are just a different team with him and Odegaard, I should say. I think they're almost equally as important. It's difficult to believe that the title race could still be on. It is not difficult to believe that this game could be real frustrating at Old Trafford. And at some point, Ruben Amorim has the confidence, and he's had the confidence to say publicly, "Oh, we're not very good. It's not going to get much better until I get new players in here." It is not the players' fault for not being talented enough, but it's definitely their fault. They're not, there has been a lot of that, whether you believe it or not, to say that must be permeating the ground as well. And we all know those words are read and heard by players and agents and families and fans. And I just don't know that there are answers other than going back to the days of Paul Pogba. This team has occasionally showed up against bigger teams and punched above its weight. So it's crazy, by the way. I just said Manchester United punching above its weight. Like, that's where we are now. That's Fergie. Sorry, Sir Alex.
Just incredible capitulation this season, Andy. I mean, it's didn't start off great, but I think when Ruben Amorim came in, we all thought, well, they're going to improve. It's going to get a bit better. They'll be solid, hard to beat. But it's anything but that at the moment. And it's, we're looking at United finishing in the bottom half of the Premier League table for the first time ever, which looks very, very likely at this point. I guess for this game as well, they have the Europa League last 16 ties against Real Sociedad. This is sandwiched in between it. So can they even rest players is my question, because when you look at their squad, they also, as well as the bad form, they have so many injuries, suspensions, all the rest of it. I don't think they can actually rotate their squad that much for this game. So, yeah, it's kind of just like Groundhog Day at United at the moment. And seems like Amorim, like Nick mentioned, he needs some big results like this, some punching above your weight, some showing what's possible in the Europa League and the Premier League, just to give them some positive vibes heading into the summer and to try and turn things around next season. What are your thoughts on where United are at?
Yeah, I slightly respect what Amorim is doing right now with United, because I do think he could be more flexible with how he's setting the team up to play and probably grind out some better results. And yet I think, he's highlighting just how bad the squad is and just how bad the recruitment has been for a decade or a decade and a half now, and really putting an exclamation point on there's a lot of big problems here at this club, rather than, sacrificing his ideas to paper over those cracks as some previous managers have done. Like this squad and this current situation that they're in, this is the doing of Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Erik ten Hag and all the different individuals who have been the heads of recruitment and sporting directors and various titles at the club over the last decade. This has been building for a long, long time. And these are all players that are ill-fitting for a singular team because they were signed for a number of different managers. And then the club makes knee-jerk changes and goes in a completely different direction stylistically. And so, of course, this is what it looks like at this point. And so it'll be interesting to see how much patience, how much time Amorim is given, because he has done a good job, I think, of making clear just how bad the situation is. And now the injuries piling on top of that. You're right, Joe. They can't really rotate unless they want to play a bunch of teenagers. And we know they had just Victor Lindelof on the bench as a senior player a few weeks ago. So, yeah, I 9 points off the top half right now. I predict more pain in the near and probably medium term future as well for Manchester United.
it's rough. It's really rough. Nick, for Arsenal, it wasn't rough in midweek. Obviously, hammered PSV Eindhoven 7-1. Could have been more as well. So they have that luxury of not really having to worry about that second leg of that Champions League last 16 tie. They know that that's wrapped up. They're going to be in the last 8 of that competition. So they can play with their best 11 at Old Trafford. I don't know. On one hand, no respect to PSV, but the type of opponent they were playing against, they created a lot of chances, etc. But the fact that they scored 7 goals in midweek, whoever you're playing, is not going to be bad for professional football players or a team confidence levels. So is it kind of a case of, we knew it was going to click with Arsenal's attack at some point and it's clicked right back into place now? It might be a few games late, might be a month or so late. We know they've got injuries up front, but it's going to be like a team effort between now and the end of the season, right? To keep themselves close to Liverpool and then try and drag themselves into it if Liverpool do slip up a few times. But I mean, I'm just looking and thinking about Arsenal between now and the end of the season, Champions League, Saka's coming back soon. But there's a lot to actually be quite confident about and positive about of your Arsenal at the moment, even though you've had a few bad results in the Premier League in recent weeks.
I mean, confidence is the key word, because I think they'll produce that amount of chances every week. They just finished every one. And I'm not saying that to downgrade it. I'm not calling it an overperformance or anything like that, but that's what they've struggled with, right? And Marino gets a goal that was basically given to him. But if that player filling in at that center forward position can just finish the one chance a game that's given to him, which is going to happen given the pressure that Arsenal teams keep the opposition on, then it can be great for them. They need confidence more than they need anything else besides, a dedicated center forward. So, and to take it into this game, Joe, is the same way I would view the rest of the season, right? Can you attack right away so that you're not really fearing what the other team can do? And the key to Arteta teams winning is taking control of the game and putting that number up first. I mean, obviously you want to score first, but for his teams, it just seems like they put on this armor that a lead gives them. And then it's more stylish. It's more flowing. Feel like they score goals in bunches more than other teams. Like, let's go do that again in like 90 seconds. So I don't think that bodes well for Manchester United, by the way. And as a prelude to our predictions.
Yeah, it's almost like bad vibes FC against good vibes FC, with Arsenal being the latter at the moment. Andy, what are you going for? I'll let you go first. I was going to go, but I think I want to hear what you have to say first.
Because it's Old Trafford, maybe they keep it close. Maybe they keep it competitive. Maybe, they can keep Arsenal off the board for a bit. But I look at the United team that they're going to have to run out there, probably pretty close to the same team that they ran out there in the Europa League. And if you can either frustrate or just take Bruno Fernandes out of the game, where is anything good coming from for Manchester United at this point? And I do think that Arsenal, to Nick's point, have the defensive setup and the know-how and the structure to do just that. They've got 3 incredibly good midfielders in there that I think probably will make life pretty hard for him. And so I'll say 2-0 to Arsenal, but I would not be shocked at all if we see another kind of goofy number on the scoreboard and it just becomes, the latest chapter in the downfall of Manchester United. And the fact that it could happen at Old Trafford as well, I think just kind of accentuates that point, does it not?
It really does. Nick, what are you going for, mate?
Yeah, listen, I'm not calling Bruno Michael Jordan, but this feels a little bit like Space Jam on paper with all the injuries. Like, do I want the team of really good informed players against a really, really good player in some cartoons? Like, with all due respect to the rest of Man United. So, no, I'm going to say 3-1. I think maybe they get a goal. If we persist with this Xerxes and Højlund thing, Højlund, holy cow. I mean, write an essay on what he was supposed to be versus what he's become. Looks like someone who's just being asked to speak a different language and doesn't have a teacher to show him the way. So, vibes all the way here. 3-1.
3-1. I was going to go for that. I think the more we've spoken about how lopsided this is going to be, I'm going to go 4-1 Arsenal. I just think the confidence levels are flowing and it's just a good time to play Man United at the moment. just can't see any change in their fortunes other than the Europa League getting a decent draw and then putting all their eggs in that basket for the rest of this season. All right, head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com. Manchester United against Arsenal. Huge game at Old Trafford this weekend. We'll have how to watch information, live reaction, highlights, recap analysis, everything you need for that game. Nick and Andy, thanks so much for joining me. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll speak to you all very soon indeed. Cheers, guys.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Lowe, and as we head towards the end of an exciting Premier League season, make sure you like and subscribe on the NBC Sports YouTube channel for more content like this.